On December 27, 2016, I went to the theater to see Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. On that very same day, actress Carrie Fisher passed away at the age of 60. Knowing this news, I was even more overcome with emotion when a digitally created young Princess Leia appeared before my eyes on the screen. This strong emotional reaction caused me to ask myself, what is it about seeing this image that made me feel this way? Was it seeing Princess Leia, a character that I came to love and cherish, preserved as a young woman, in almost perfect likeness of her character nearly 40 years ago? Was it seeing this character on screen knowing that the actress who played her is dead? Or was it seeing this representation of a human, knowing that it is, in fact, not human at all? Since the very beginning of cinema, film has had a way of stopping time in its tracks, immortalizing the images of actors and actresses by capturing their performances at specific moments in time.
Still alive.
Bazin called this human need to preserve things beyond their physical existence the mummy complex, as if the process of filming an actor embalms them, artificially preserving their physical appearance.
These are my friends.
When the original Star Wars trilogy was filmed, the images of the young actors who played everyone's favorite space heroes were preserved in time forever.
The Force is strong in my family.
Mark Hamill was immortalized as the young Jedi Luke Skywalker in one of his very first acting roles. All one has to do to see Hamill as Luke, training to become a Jedi or facing Darth Vader, is turn on one of the classic Star Wars films where Hamill is forever embalmed in the form of himself in his 20s. It is perhaps the mummy complex that led Star Wars fans to feel resistant to the reappearance of their favorite characters in the series' latest installments, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in 2015 and 2017. Fans were especially disappointed with the story arc of Luke, who is transformed from a triumphant, heroic figure to a grumpy recluse who comes to disavow the Force. While Luke's younger form is still preserved in the original trilogy, a new image of the character is now preserved in Episodes 7 and 8, and for fans who disagree with the turns in Luke's storyline, the image of this older version of Luke played by Mark Hamill in his 60s cannot be erased now that it has been preserved in film. Even more eerie than seeing actors and actresses in their younger forms is seeing actors on screens after their deaths. Such is the case with actor Peter Cushing, who portrayed Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars Episode 4 before passing away in 1994. Through the embalming process of filmmaking, his representation in this film freezes him in time, causing what Bazin calls the preservation of life by a representation of life. However, the preservation of Peter Cushing in cinema goes much further than just the mummy complex. His character of Grand Moff Tarkin is immortalized not only in an embalming, but a digital resurrection. Cushing's appearance post-mortem in Rogue One, over 20 years after his death, is thanks to the CGI work of Industrial Light and Magic. By compositing the performance of actor Guy Henry with a CGI overlay of Cushing's facial features as he appeared in A New Hope, the film essentially brought Cushing back to life. This resurrection of Peter Cushing also brings Bazin's concept of cinematic realism into the discussion. Although Bazin likely could not have foreseen the ability we have today to bring characters back to life through digital technology, he saw realism as a means of perpetuating survival after death through an ideal world and the likeness of the real, with its own temporal destiny. This fascination with realistic representation, which we are getting closer and closer to achieving through the use of CGI effects, is due to what Bazin calls man's primitive need to have the last word in the argument with death by means of the form that endures.
I know what you're going to say. I changed my hair.
In all of these ways, through her mummification as the character Leia Organa as a young woman in the original Star Wars trilogy, her reappearance in The Force Awakens shortly before her death, and The Last Jedi shortly after, as well as her digital resurrection in Rogue One, Carrie Fisher lives on in the Star Wars series in almost every form imaginable. Through her preservation on screen, she will never truly die.